Hello everyone, welcome to the Dhandeep Academy. This is our Geography Optional Advanced Lecture Series. So this is our lecture number 2. Already we have discussed in our lecture 1 what all this program is about, and we have understood when we are approaching value addition in Geography Optional what should be our approach exactly. Fine. So now we will move on to the next part. We will start one topic each day, and we will see what exactly we are supposed to do in all these areas. So first and foremost, I will be moving through geomorphology section. So we will see in next few lectures or next few days what all topics we need to add in geomorphology section. At the same time, we will also understand where we need to go in depth. Now, when we are talking about geomorphology, if you pick any standard geomorphology reference material, now I'm not talking about any physical geography book. I'm directly talking about books which are used for geomorphology section itself. So they are dedicated textbooks for geomorphology, and every geomorphology textbook starts with one chapter that is called as Fundamental Concepts in Geomorphology. Now if you look at the syllabus, you will not find any such topic mentioned in the syllabus itself. So if you look at the standard material which is available, or standard books or notes which are written for geography optional, they generally do not contain this particular topic, that is fundamental concepts in geomorphology. But if I go back to some PYQs in one or the other year, what I find, a good number of questions have been asked on this fundamental concept wala part, and that is where you need to prepare. Now there are around 10 to 12 fundamental concepts in geomorphology, and we are not supposed to do all those fundamental concepts. So nobody is expecting you to be thorough with each and every single fundamental concept in geomorphology. At best, you should be covering some 4 or 5 concepts which are more likely to appear. Some of these concepts have already been referred to in your syllabus somewhere or the other, but you have not attained a particular depth in those particular areas, right? And that is why we are going to work on those issues in our value addition program. So first and foremost, I will go forward to concept number 1. Now this concept number 1 says the same physical processes and laws that operate today operated throughout geological time. Although not necessary with same intensity. Fine. So this is the concept number 1 of fundamental concepts of geomorphology. Understand this statement and then mug up this statement. Now why you need to mug up this statement? Even though there is no direct question which is asked on these particular statement, I can use this statement or use this concept in my answers itself. Fine. And that is why I am going to mug up this particular statement. Now let us understand one by one. So what this statement is saying? This statement is saying same physical processes and laws. Okay. So whatever physical processes and laws which are responsible for the development of landforms, or which are responsible for the development of landscape. Now here somewhere we are talking about the issue of landscapes and landforms which we deal in geography, right? Though particularly we talk about that particular part in let us say somewhere in the landscape cycles, but these are the fundamental principles which also relate to the development of landscapes in geography. Now so wherever we have physical process and laws which are responsible for the development of landscape, so they are operating today. What kind of laws and process we see that they are operating today have operated throughout geological time? Means historically all these physical processes and laws have operated the same way. That is something the statement is saying here. But what it is saying, what has varied throughout the history? So the variation is only with the intensity, right? So processes and laws are same. The only thing which has changed is intensity, right? And this is the statement you have to critically analyze. So whatever question which is going to come on this particular part, you will have to critically analyze this particular statement. Now I'll take you to a few geographers, or typically one geographer who is referred to in this particular part. That geographer is James Hutton. And James Hutton in 1785 made one statement. What was his statement? Let us understand. He's a famous Scottish geologist, and he made a statement: the present is the key to past. Okay, so what he is saying, whatever you are witnessing or whatever you are experiencing in the present time, so we are here talking about geology, whatever geological processes, whatever geological phenomena which are taking place in present time, they have operated in past as well. The similar kind of statement we have presented in our concept number 1 of geomorphology. So this concept in general is known as principle of uniformitarianism. Okay, principle of uniformitarianism, you have already referred to this particular principle somewhere in the cycle of Davis. So when we talk about Davis, we go back to the principle of uniformitarianism. So whenever we'll come back to Davis, I'll tell you why we also talk about uniformitarianism in Davis. But here these two statements, they are clearly the concept which is relating to the principle of uniformitarianism. And if and ever you are asked what is this principle of uniformitarianism, then what you are supposed to write? You are first supposed to write this fundamental concept number 1 of geomorphology, where you will write this statement. Clear? And second thing you should be necessarily mentioning at the beginning itself is the statement which is made by James Hutton in 1785, that is, the present is the key to past. Now if I look at these three statements or these three keywords, you can also be asked a direct question on this particular statement. There will be this statement given: the present is the key to past. Discuss or critically analyze. Fine. And that is how you have to remember, okay, whole of this issue is nothing about the principle of uniformitarianism. Now what we are supposed to discuss in this particular part? So you have to tell if this concept is really applicable or if it is not applicable, and what are the specific nuances which are related to all these concepts. So if I say the present is the key to past, or same geological processes and laws have operated but with varying intensity, I will say to an extent I can agree with this statement. Yes, all these physical processes or physical laws or the laws associated with these processes have operated throughout geological history. So if I look at geological history, let us say what has operated in a very same fashion. So if I let's say talk about the process of valley deepening, let's take this example, or the process of erosion in general. So whatever erosional processes are operating today, same kind of erosional processes have operated in the past as well, right? So there has been absolutely no difference in it. So it is not happening like the process of erosion is different today as it opposed to the past. Similarly, if there are any endogenetic processes, right? So whatever endogenetic movements or endogenetic processes are operating, they are again very same. There is absolutely no difference. So we are witnessing movement of plates in present time, and same movement of plates has had taken in the geological history of Earth as well, right? So that is where we are sure if I treat this statement as correct, so I can say yes, to an extent physical processes and laws which are operating today have definitely operated in the past also. So that is the part we have agreed with, but there is a catch. It is talking about कि only intensity has differed. Fine. Now, if I look at the landscape development at a macro level or throughout the world, whatever landscape development has had taken place, though processes and laws have remained the same, but the process or the development of landscape itself has not remained the same, right? Because whatever landscape development takes place, it is an outcome of exogenetic processes as well as endogenetic processes. Okay. So let us talk about what exogenetic processes we are talking here. So whatever impact of climate and other aspects which we see in landscape development or landform development is exogenetic processes. Whatever is operating from outside, and similarly we know endogenetic processes. If I take a look at all these exogenetic and endogenetic processes, let us first talk about the climate. Has climate remained the same all throughout history, right? So climate hasn't remained the same all throughout history. So many part of the geological history of the earth has had glaciated conditions, right? So there were glaciated conditions. Let's take example, recent example. So if I go back to Pleistocene epoch, right? It was a total glacial phase in the geological history of time. So whatever condition of landscape development existed there is not exactly same which is happening here. Now what point exactly we are making? You see, maybe processes have remained the same or laws have remained the same, but have they really operated is a question. So if I come in present times all across the globe, I do not really see most of the glacial processes or most of the glacial phenomena which have had happened in the Pleistocene epoch, right? So in Holocene epoch, there is less glacial phase or glaciated processes which are operating. So we can give this example in counter ki to an extent the concept number 1 statement is true, or the statement made by Scottish geologist, the present is the key to past, is also to an extent correct, but we cannot apply that statement rigidly, right? And here time and again we will say ki yes, process has remained the same, those processes have acted, laws of those formations have remained the same, but have these processes really acted or have these processes really taken place is a question, because we have had different climatic conditions all throughout the geological history of time. Clear? And in that I am giving a few examples. Also, one more thing, this climate change has been changing at global level. So we have changes at global level. At the same time, I also have changes at regional level. So if you take any region, the climate of that particular region and hence the exogenetic processes which are operating on that particular region are never the same, right? So if I take example of any region, let us say take example of central India. In central India, in Carboniferous period, that whole region was covered with thick ice sheets, right? And the process which operated then there were glacial processes, and whatever landscape development has happened there was a result of that glacial processes. But do I have same kind of conditions existing in today's time? No, I do not have same kind of conditions there, right? And that is where I have to make a difference कि climate at regional level or be it at global level has consistently changed. And that is why though processes and laws are same, but have they really operated is a question. Now the statement talked about intensity. Yes, intensity will vary. Definitely intensity will vary. But the fundamental question is कि are those concepted or are those processes have operated really? Be it with any intensity. I will have a phase of today's central India where I do not have the glacial processes which operated in Carboniferous period acting at the same level, right? So there is no question of intensity. They are not at all acting. That is the point I am going to make, and that is why though there is variation in intensity, but these processes may be absent altogether. Clear? So So that is about what is happening as a result of exogenetic processes. Then I also have some endogenetic processes. Let's talk about crustal movement. If you look at the movement of crust, it is not constant, right? So crustal movement is though taking place continuously, but the rate of crustal movement varies. This is the fundamental point. Let's take at the keywords we use, there is a phase of active mountain building, and then there will be a phase where mountain building is not that significant, right? So whenever we have active mountain building phase, what we have the movement of plates at a very high rate. So plates are rapidly moving, and the kind of processes which are operating then are will be very intense. But if I look at some of the plates, they are not at all moving at this particular moment, right? And these plates, when they are not moving, when there is no boundary interaction between various plates, whatever mountain building process takes place is not taking at all. So again, intensity sometimes will be more, sometimes will be less, but there are times that there is absolutely no process taking place. Clear? So that is something I will also counter in this particular area. Other than that, you can also talk about, let us say, the process of volcanism. If I look at the geological history of Earth, this volcanism has had a varied intensity all throughout the geological history. So there are some phases of geological history of Earth, such as Cretaceous period. In Cretaceous period, we witness extensive volcanic activity all throughout the Earth. And there are multiple such time periods which have witnessed extensive volcanic activity on the Earth. But if I look at the present times and compare the volcanic activity at present times and that of the Cretaceous period, there is absolutely no match. This is not even be termed as lesser intensity volcanism at this moment. There is absolutely no volcanic activity at all, I can say. There is a volcanic activity, but that particular volcanic activity is taking in points and at some small places, I can say. Fine. And that is why what my point is, even if I talk about the crustal movement or the various processes associated with the crust of the Earth, neither do I have the same rate of movement of that crustal plate, nor do I have volcanic activities operating at the same level. And that is where we say though the statement made by James Hutton that the present is the key to past, to an extent it is true. We are accepting that the processes and laws have remained the same. There is absolutely no change with process and laws. At the same time, we agree that intensity does vary. Fine. But then there are periods where the landscape development may appear to be very inactive or insignificant. The better word I will write here is insignificant. Clear? So that is what you are supposed to argue in that concept 1, fundamentals of geomorphology, and that concept we have already written. If you read that concept once again, so the concept says the same physical process and laws that operate today operated throughout geological time, although not necessarily with the same intensity, right? So question can be asked directly on the concept, or this may also be asked on the statement made by James Hutton, that is the present is the key to past, or the third variation of this question will be regarding the principle of uniformitarianism. So that was about the idea of principle of uniformitarianism and the statement made by James Hutton and the concept 1 of the geomorphology. We'll see you in next session with such issues again. Thank you.